I have two different size cans here. The first one here is a little bigger than the second one, and I'm going to paint both using some Wise Owl white primer. Now, whenever working with metal, you do want to make sure that you prime first. This is going to help the paint adhere to the surface. So again, I'm using the Wise Owl white primer. This primer also comes in clear or two different shades of gray, and it can be found at chalkitupfancy.com. Now I'm going to set those aside to dry, and I'm going to be working with the Salt Wash. It's a paint additive. I have two mixing cups. I filled one with some Wise Owl Snow Owl, and then I filled the second one with some Wise Owl Higgins Lake. And you're just going to put a good amount of paint in each. I filled them about halfway. And then I'm going to take my Salt Wash and fill it into the mixing cups. And you're going to stir it. I just have a popsicle stick. And you almost want the consistency of icing. You want it to be a little on the thicker end, but you do not want it too thick. I mix them really well, and then I'm going to use a foam dabber. And I'm going to dab on my Salt Wash and paint mixture here, covering the entire can. Now, if a little bit of the white primer peeks through, that is totally fine. But I want to make sure that I'm giving this some really good texture. I feel like the dabbing motion helps with that. And then I repeated the same thing on the smaller can. Now, one thing I did want to mention is I left the top lid on the larger can partially on, and I removed the lid on the smaller can completely. And you also want to make sure you're painting the top and bottom of both of the lids. I have this scrapbook paper, and I found this transfer at the Dollar Tree. It says Farm Fresh Flowers. It has a couple gardening tools on it. And I'm just going to cut out the Farm Fresh Flowers, and I'm going to stick it onto my scrapbook paper. Now, this scrapbook paper does have a little bit of texture to it. It is a little thicker, but it's not as thick as cardboard. And I'm going to place the transfer down, and then I'm going to use a popsicle stick or a rubbing tool to get that onto my scrapbook paper. And now I'm just making some straight lines because I'm going to cut around it and make it a little smaller. So I just cut it out with a pair of scissors. Now once I had it cut out, I took some Wise Owl Iron Oxide is the color, and I'm just dry brushing it onto the scrapbook paper. And then I'm going to go back to my cans, making sure that the Salt Wash is fully dry. And I'm going to take the Wise Owl Iron Oxide, and I'm going to dry brush it over my can. And you can see here how it's grabbing all of that texture, and we're creating almost a rust look. I'm going heavier in some areas, and you're just going to kind of mess around until you're happy with the look. I'm going to take some hot glue. You can also use E6000, and I'm going to glue that Farm Fresh Flowers right onto the front of the can. And then I did the same exact thing with the smaller can. I'm dry brushing some Wise Owl Iron Oxide onto my white. And then I also took a little bit of Wise Owl Black, and I did the same exact thing. Now you do want to make sure your Salt Wash is fully dry, or everything will kind of just smear together. Now I did add a little tag to the small one as well. It says, "You are a wildflower." And then I'm going to fill each can with some of my favorite succulents. I had some potting soil, and I have these small little succulents I got from a local flower market. And I just love how this came out. I'm going to set these on my porch, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. Paint products, tissue paper, transfers, and mesh stencils can all be found on our webpage at chalkitupfancy.com. And don't forget, you can also check out other tutorials over on our webpage. Have a great day.